right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining in. Wild card weekend is over. Last night's game ended the playoffs for this past weekend. And so let's talk about the games, and I'll talk about my predictions for the games because in my previous video, I picked the winners, I picked the losers, and let's see just how I did. Yeah, let's see how I did for the games. Now, the first game we had was the Texans and Chargers. The Texans beat the Chargers 32-12. I picked the Chargers in this game. That's my first loss, but don't worry, it won't be my last one of the weekend. This is a funny game. I really thought the Chargers were going to come out and do something in this game. That's why I thought they were going to win, but they ended up just looking terrible. Justin Herbert was sacked 5 times in the game. He was pressured over 51% of the times he dropped back. He threw 4 interceptions after throwing only 3 interceptions the whole season. It was just a terrible performance all around. On the other hand, C.J. Stroud, he wasn't like particularly amazing in the game, but he did plenty enough to win it. Along with the Texans defense, they just dominated the Chargers. They just couldn't get anything going. Yeah, so the Chargers really were disappointing. I thought they were going to do better and even win, but they most certainly didn't. So anyway, good for Texans. They move on. I think they play the Chiefs next weekend. That's going to be a tough game. I'll talk about that one during the week. Anyway, for this video, let's stick to these games. The next game I'll cover is the Ravens and the Steelers. The Ravens beat the Steelers 28-14. Now, I picked the Ravens in this game, and I got the win on this one, so I'm 1-1. But the Steelers, I mean, coming into the playoffs, I think they had lost like 4 games in a row or something, and they just looked terrible. The Steelers, they just were just outplayed. They were just outmanned. They were even outcoached, and that's something to say with Mike Tomlin being their head coach. I mean, and this game was just like quite simply won by Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. They just ran all over the Steelers defense. The Ravens had like 304 yards of offense in the first half alone. And the Steeler defense, to be honest, they just looked awful. They had somewhere upwards of 14 missed tackles, which was their 3rd most in any game all season. And they just looked sloppy at times. They looked uninterested and almost looked like they just weren't into the game. And Russell Wilson didn't help at all. He looked just bad. To me, he just looked terrible. He looked like he just was just outdone. He was just outplayed by the Ravens defense. He came on in the end. They made through a couple passes, padded his stats a little bit, but he just looked like he didn't even belong in the game at times. So the Steelers looked bad, but I think everybody kind of knew coming in that the Ravens were gonna beat them. But I did say in my video it'd probably be a close game, and it really score wise wasn't a real bad whipping, but you could really see that the Ravens had control of that game from start to finish. So it was just no doubt. And the way the Steelers were just limping into the playoffs, you just knew the Ravens were gonna handle that game, and they did. And now the Ravens will go to my next team I'm going to cover, which is Buffalo next week. Now this was an interesting game. I thought the Broncos were going to keep this game close. The Bills. First of all, the Bills won 31-7. It was really a dominating performance, but the game did, and I did pick the Bills, which gives me another W, because I just knew the Bills were going to win the game, but I thought the Broncos were going to put up a better fight than they ended up doing. And it started out crazy, too, because the Broncos, a couple plays into the game, Bo Nix throws a 43-yard touchdown pass. Broncos go up 7-0. And I'm thinking, like, I kind of knew they were going to keep this game closer. This is going to be a tough game for Buffalo, but that was all you'd ever see from the Broncos, was that it was all just downhill from there. They had a lot of drop passes in this game. Their receivers, too, at least 4 or 5 of them that I can remember. And the Bills' defense just simply dominated the game from that point on. But I was disappointed in that game, though. I did think the Broncos could even maybe have a chance at eking it out, winning it. I knew they wouldn't, but I said, well, if they keep this game close, sometimes Buffalo, when they get into tight games, Josh Allen starts to force things and he makes mistakes. But luckily for him and Bills fans, that never came to happen. The Bills just dominated them after that. And, of course, Josh Allen just does Josh Allen things, scrambles around, finds guys open. The guy, I'll tell you right now, this, as much as I hate to say it, being an AFC East, a Jets fan, the Bills are going to be a tough out this year. There's no question about that. they're going to be a tough out, the Bills. So watch out. But that Ravens game next week, watch out. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. I tell you right now, if that game ends up being a running game because of maybe snow or some crappy weather, watch out. The Ravens can pull that game out. But we'll talk about that game during the week. I want to wait until I see some injury reports and other weather reports and things like that. But that'll be the game to watch this weekend. And then of course, we had the Eagles and the Packers. I picked the Packers in this game. That was a big L for me. The Eagles won 22-10. And this game was pretty much also decided by the running game. Saquon Barkley was just a beast. He was 25 carries for 119 yards. Now, that's not particularly an amazing performance or anything like that, but it was plenty good enough when it had to be for the Eagles to just dominate and beat the Packers. The Packers just did not look good. And the Packers just had no answers on defense. They just didn't. And Jordan Love didn't help the game out at all either. He had a pretty bad day through 3 picks in the game, and he at times looked confused and he looked out of it, and he just didn't look like he just didn't have any answers for the Eagles defense that really was just quite frankly just too dominating for the Pack. And I thought the Packers were going to do better. I chose the Packers to win that game, and they didn't. So that's that. So the Eagles move on to the second round. Then, of course, we had the Washington Redskins. I still call them. I know they're the Commanders, so if it hurts anybody's feelings, whatever. Anyways, we'll just refer to them on my channel as Washington. But the Washington beat the Bucks 23-20. And I'll tell you right now, I picked the Bucks to win this game. I know I said a lot about Baker Mayfield, and what I said it doesn't change what I think. He's done a great job. He's re-energized his career, and he played a good game. But I'll talk about the mistake he made toward the end there that kind of gave the Washington back the momentum and everything. But either way, this was by far the best game of the weekend. It kept you on your toes. It was close basically the whole way. The Washington's rookie quarterback, what's his name? Jaden Daniels. He was 24 out of 35 for 268 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I just want to mention he really particularly looked good under pressure because the Bucks did get pressure on him, but he just got the ball out fast. I mean, he made quick decisions. And it looks to me like Washington, unlike the Jets and other teams, have found their franchise quarterback. The kid looks good. He's on point. He's got wheels. He can run when he needs to. And I'm impressed by the way he gets the ball out so quickly under pressure. You don't see that a lot in a lot of quarterbacks, even older quarterbacks. Veteran quarterbacks. Sometimes you don't. They panic and throw a pick, or they just go down. They take the sack or whatever. But he looks particularly good. And I really felt bad for Baker in this game. Like now the game is the Bucks at this point is literally late in the game. I think it was the fourth quarter even. The Bucks were up by a touchdown, and all they had to do was kind of drive the ball. And I thought they were going to pull this game out because Washington was really into it. It was a close game, and something happened on a handoff. There was like a miscommunication with Baker and the receiver he was handing it to. He turned around, handed the ball off, hit him in the side. They fumbled. Washington picked it up and turned it into a touchdown. I thought that really, really took the wind out of the sails of the Bucks and the fans even. You could see like Baker even on the sideline, like hanging his head, like, how could I have done that? And I think that changed the game. Ended up subsequently Washington scoring a touchdown. The Bucks got the ball. They didn't do anything with it. Washington got it. And at the end of the game, with time running out, they kicked a field goal and won the game by the field goal. I just felt so sorry for him. He played such a good game, and it was just too bad to see. But it is the game, and mistakes happen, and sometimes that's what tips the scale from win to loss is a mistake like that. So it's just too bad. But and the final game, last night's game, was just atrocious. It was terrible. The Rams beat the Vikings 27-9, and once again, I picked the Vikings to win this game. I believe I mentioned in my last video, I've always been kind of a Sam Darnold fan. I wasn't sad when the Jets got rid of him because it was just a bad situation for him and anybody, quite frankly, who plays on the Jets. It's just a bad situation. But I was glad to see him. He had a great season this year. The Vikings were 14-3, and I know some people have been saying all season they're kind of a phony 14-3. The frauds and everything. And last night they looked like they were frauds. This is just what they looked like. They were just beat up. I mean, there's not too much I can say about this game. They looked terrible on both sides of the ball. The Vikings, the defense didn't help any. They looked bad. And Sam Darnold was absolutely, I hate to say, but he was just awful. He looked like if he had a Jets jersey on, he would have looked like the Sam Darnold that I know. He held the ball way too long on almost every play, causing him to get sacked like 9 times in the game. I'm even sitting there watching, and I don't even care even about either one of these teams, but I find myself on the couch yelling, "Throw the ball, Sam! Throw!" He's holding the ball way too long, just like he used to back in the day. He got sacked 9 times. One of them was a forced fumble, returned for a touchdown by the Rams. He just looked terrible. He just looked bad. He looked like he didn't belong in the game. I just felt sorry for him to have such a great season and ended up like that, like such a bad performance, And if I have to say, he probably played himself out of the Vikings. And how many times are you going to say that about a 14-3 team, a 14-3 quarterback? But last week when he just laid an egg against the Lions when they could have had the division and the number 1 seed, he played crappy. This week he just played even worse than that against a Rams team who was 10-7. I don't know. Kudos to the Rams though; they looked really good. The defense was solid, always pressuring Sam, but he did in his game what Daniels did. He didn't do in his game what Daniels did in the Washington game, which was he got rid of the ball when he was getting pressured. Sam ate it. He didn't get rid of the ball, and he got sacked and fumbled and threw an interception, and he just was terrible. I felt bad for him. On the other hand, Matt Stafford, he looked pretty good. He's always calm in the pocket, that guy. He never really panics. He didn't have a particularly great day. He was 19 out of 27 for 209 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he looked good when he needed to be. He hit his receivers when he needed to, and the Ram defense was just too dominating for Sam Darnold and the Vikings, who really appeared to me right from the start they were never really in the game. So anyway, that wraps up the weekend of the games. Next weekend we got a new slate of games. We'll be into the divisional round of the games. So at the end of the day, how you guys want to know how I did? Let me tell you exactly how I did. I was 2-4. That's not good. So the moral of this story is, if you want to bet on games, bet on the teams that when I bet on a team to win, you bet on them to lose, and vice versa. Then you'll probably put some money in your pockets. Go against whoever I pick. So anyway, we got a lot of news coming up too. I'm going to make some videos during the week about the Jets. Their search for a head coach, GM. Lots of things have been transpiring and happening, so I want to go over all that stuff. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week, and the upcoming games and everything else going on. So listen, hit that. Give me a like if you enjoyed the video, and leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about my recap of the games. And as always, subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a great deal. I really appreciate everybody who watches and leaves a comment and everything. I appreciate it all. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye now.